MOOC. I'm a MOOC.
Yeah.
What's a MOOC?
A MOOC? What's a MOOC? I don't know. What's a MOOC?
You can't call me a MOOC.
I can't?
No.
Thanks to De Niro and Scorsese for their 1973 classic, Mean Streets. Today, in 2014, we are asking the same question. What's a MOOC? MOOCs are massive open online courses, and in this presentation, we will examine MOOCs from a learner's perspective as we answer two questions. How to succeed in a MOOC, and what are the barriers to success? The term MOOC was coined in 2008 for a course called Connectivism and Connective Knowledge led by Stephen Downes and George Siemens at the University of Manitoba. Let's hear from George Siemens.
Networked. When we connect to other people, when we connect ideas, that's where we gain our understanding, and that's really where we gain a depth of knowledge about a subject matter. So we decided that we'd like to take the course and have it reflect in format what we said learning was about in the course itself. So the content of the course was about connectivism, and yet the method of delivery of the course was similar. So a few things that we
In 2012, two Stanford professors, Sebastian Thrun and Peter Norvig, offered Introduction to Artificial Intelligence for free online. More than 160,000 students in 190 countries signed up. The New York Times declared 2012 to be the year of the MOOC as higher educational bodies embraced MOOCs. In the US, MIT and Harvard universities founded edX. Sebastian Thrun went on to be a co-founder of Udacity, while two other Stanford professors founded Coursera. Other MOOC platforms include FutureLearn in the UK, iVersity in Germany, and Open to Study in Australia. MOOCs have been seen as a disruptive innovation. George Siemens sees them as a reflection of trends that will continue to influence education. They ask the questions: how do we teach in digital networked environments, and how do we teach when the relationship between teachers and learners is changing?
This short segment describes the experience of myself, Laurent Seibert, and my co-learner Stephen Parker as we engaged for the first time with the MOOC course. Our aim was to attempt to articulate the typical type of behaviors we think learners need to adopt to successfully participate and acquire knowledge from a MOOC environment. As a case study, we will examine the iVersity platform and one of their 7-week courses in which we have enrolled. The MOOC course was also joined by many hundreds of students from all over the world. And for context, the course is on gamification, which simply put is the concept of applying game design thinking to non-game applications to make them more fun and engaging. For reference, we recommend you watch David Cormier's YouTube video, Success in a MOOC, whereby he describes 5 behaviors he thinks learners need to adopt to succeed in a MOOC, which are orient, declare, network, cluster, and focus. What does this look like from a student's point of view? As an example, we will now examine each behavior in relation to our personal experience with the iVersity gamification MOOC. At the end of the presentation, we'll have a quick quiz for you to test your understanding on the 5 behaviors, so we recommend you pay attention. David Cormier states that a MOOC user first needs to orient themselves through the MOOC, for example, by finding the location of relevant resources and the times of the live sessions. iVersity made this information very clear well before the course started, that is 1 month, then 2 weeks, and the day before. Their pre-course information pages detailed the course outline, sources, and meeting places for participants. The course front page reiterated some of the pre-course information, introduced the instructors, and gave details of weekly schedules and topics. Declare is the second stage in Cormier's approach and involves setting up your social network through common platforms. In other words, a space where you can post your thoughts, such as Facebook, where you can start to engage with other members.
You then need to create your own network, that is, engage in discussion and slowly build up connections. The iVersity course provided a variety of networking options such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and blogs, as well as an official tag for labeling all communications in the social media spaces, and ways of contacting instructors directly, for example via Google+. As an example of the power of networking via social media, I was able to respond to the lead course instructor thoughtfully, and then he then started following me on Google+, leading to a wider discussion via my network. As the network develops, the end user becomes part of a cluster of like-minded learners and can then participate in local discussions. For example, iVersity encouraged organising local face-to-face meetups via the platform and co-locating students via a global map to participate in wider local discussions.
The last stage in Cormio's successful approach to MOOCs is focus. That involves self-discipline to work through week by week, doing formative quizzes that prepare for summative assessments. For example, the iVersity videos all included slides, talking head, and quizzes, an approach which facilitated understanding of and engagement with the subject matter.
Cormier also talks about how the mind starts to wander after a number of weeks. When I was doing the MOOC, I was required to engage in deep learning, just like in university, beyond the MOOC videos, which meant following up on book references, reading academic references, and working within the live time frame of the course to submit my assessments and peer assess others' work. To cope with the workload, it really helped, as Cormier advises, that I identify the meaningful purpose to apply my MOOC learning to my real life work. In other words, purpose drove my MOOC work, as well as the prospect of receiving certification on completion of the course.
Let's recap the steps for success in a MOOC learning network. Orient, where are the materials, links, and times of live sessions. Declare yourself via social media, blog, tag, tweets. Network, follow other people, create a network, and communicate thoughtfully. Cluster, create a group of people to work with, form a community of kindred spirits. Focus, identify a meaningful purpose, link your MOOC work to your life.
In many ways, my iVersity MOOC self-directed learning experience is comparable to my university experience in that it requires study skills, which are vital to plan and be self-directed learning, personal motivation, which comes from high interest in the subject matter and application of the learning to a real-world context. Technological social networking skills are vital to navigate the MOOC and create learning relationships. But just as in real life, in the end, success is down to the individual. What you get out of the MOOC depends on what you're ready to put in.
Low completion rates have been a point of criticism by some observers of the MOOC phenomenon. So much research has been conducted to understand this and develop strategies to increase participation and completion rates. In her discussion on the factors that limit the number of students who achieve above average marks, Daphne Kohler, co-founder of Coursera, cites the 2 sigma problem as a hint to possible solutions. While a mastery-based approach to learning increases average performance a full standard deviation over lecture-based methods, one-to-one tutoring increases this to a full 2 standard deviations. Kohler suggests a MOOC model that connects learners directly with tutors on a one-to-one basis would bring significant improvement to the number of students achieving over the average. So the aim of MOOC designers is to create instructional methods that are as effective as one-to-one tutoring. The experiences of our group confirms the aims of Coursera to increase learner performance through strategies of connection with peers and participation in learning communities. Most MOOC providers seem to be doing this. Now, it could be argued that learning behaviours observed by our group members, such as collaboration, participation, self-direction, and technological literacy, desirable in order to successfully participate in the MOOC, are culturally and socially constructed behavioural norms that are familiar to us. But what of learning behaviours steeped in cultures beyond those typical of the Western norm? And how universal are these behaviours? We'd like your response in the survey, please. Do you learn effectively through interaction with your peers? Text yes or no to the number shown. Now, in what has been described as the Asian century, China has emerged from its shadow as a producer of cheap trinkets to a rapidly growing middle class of consumers that Western businesses are keen to get a share of. This includes MOOC providers. However, there are significant challenges in tapping into the enormous potential that the Chinese learner market offers. Not least of all is the pedagogical gap between typical connectivist, constructivist MOOCs and the Chinese notion of transmission or the virtuoso model of learning. The solution to this pedagogical gap is of particular interest to MOOC providers and the venture capitalists behind them as they make inroads to the Chinese education market. But can the pedagogical model of CMOOCs work in China considering the differences in pedagogical practices? In addition to behavioural differences, many of us are, for a host of reasons, time poor. Are you willing or able to give your learning time to teach others? Text yes or no to the number shown. The take-up of MOOCs in China is a complex challenge for educationalists as there is a mix of pedagogical, social and political influences. Although the pedagogical gap in this instance is intertwined with the national culture of China, non-Chinese students unaccustomed to learning through connectivist, constructivist methods also report negative experiences and feel disadvantaged by this choice of pedagogy. So have we fallen into the dark hole of groupthink? Will resistance to a network-based pedagogy turn learners that could benefit most away from MOOCs? Now we know most adults are time poor. So do you think it's more time effective for you to learn independently away from the chatter of groups? Text yes or no to the number shown. There's some concern but little doubt over the potential for MOOCs to deliver on the promise of education for the masses. Academics in partnerships formed between universities in Hong Kong and Beijing have suggested that universities need to consider a new pedagogical approach that suits the MOOC movement. To meet this, what we might see, if the market is willing, is a shift in the educational practices of learners. But for that to occur, we first need to see a pedagogical revolution. And our final survey question. If you think we should go for drinks after class today, text yes or no to the number shown.